Hello friends and welcome to the Fun Stampers Corner. In this video tutorial I will show you how to make a pocket card. Remember to check out my blog under Photo Gallery to see future projects as well as projects I've done before using this same technique. Are you ready? Let's get to work. So the first thing that we have is we have an 8.5 by 11. One of the things I love about this project is that out of one 8.5 by 11 you can get 2 pocket cards. So now let me show you how to score and cut this. So again, you have an 8.5 by 11, you bring your paper trimmer, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our cardstock at 10.5. So at 10.5 inches we'll make our first cut. So now we have an 8.5 by 10.5 sheet of cardstock. The next thing we need to do is we're going to switch our blade so that we can have our scoring blade, and we're going to start our scores at 3.5 and 7. So we have 3.5 and 7. So again, we have cut at 10.5 inches, so it's 8.5 by 10.5, and we're scoring at 3.5 and 7 inches. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn our paper around, and we're going to switch blades again, and we're going to do start our cuts in a step ladder type format. So our first cut's going to be at 3 inches, and we're going to bring our cutter, and we're going to use our little kind of pointers here as a guide to make sure we don't cut off too far. So we want to cut up into our first score line here. So again, we're going to bring it to 3 inches, and we're going to cut up into that first score line. We're going to lift up our ruler here, and we're going to bring it to 4 1/4. So at 4 1/4, we're going to bring it down to that first score line again and cut to the next score line. So we're going to pick up our ruler, and our last cut will be at 5.5. So we'll bring it to 5.5, bring it down from the last score line all the way out. Okay, so now we've got 3 different cuts. We're going to bring our paper back around, and now what we want to do is we want to trim these 2 little pieces off. You can do it with your paper snips if you wish, but you could also do it with your cutter to give you a nicer crisp cut. So you bring your cardstock and you line it up to where your score line is. And once you have found that, lining it up to your cut using again the little arrows, you're going to cut to the next cut here. So hopefully that made sense. Alright, and now we're going to do the next one. Line up your score line to your ruler, and again we're going to line up these little arrows to the cut up into the next cut. So now we have 2 step ladders. So again, or I should say pocket cards. So now what we do is we're just going to fold our cuts and scores, and if for whatever reason you have extra piece of cardstock like I do here, you can just get your paper snips and make a little trim here to make it a nice even paper. Alright, so I've pre-cut some Kiwi Kiss as well as Tangerine Tango formattings for these projects, and I've stamped them with chocolate chip onto the Kiwi Kiss cardstock. This is what I'm going to use as my background. I use the polka dot stamp set. It's a background stamp in the dormant list, and you can find it on my website. Again, it's the polka dot stamp background stamp. It's not in the big catalog, but it is in the dormant list, so it is available. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and adhere my pieces to my chocolate chip cardstock using some snail adhesive. We're just going to adhere those. The next one would go on this side. For full measurements, you can again visit my weblog, and you will find it under the photo gallery under pocket card. So you'll find a picture of how to cut and score this project, as well as what measurements you will need. So once again, we'll adhere this guy here. So now you can see how quick and easy it was to make this pocket card. The reason it's a pocket card is because now you have 2 pockets. So in order to make this a pocket, what we're going to do is we're going to grab a little bit of sticky strip so that the bottom doesn't come out. Let me just find the end to this. So we're going to add sticky strip, just a little piece to the bottom here. And we're going to add one more piece to the second pocket. Sorry. Okay, so now we've got the two pieces. We'll remove the red film and adhere that well down. And then we'll remove the second piece. If I can find it. Here we go. And we'll adhere this guy down as well. Alright, so now we've got two pockets. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is going to embellish this a little bit. As I said previously, I've already pre-cut my pieces. And what I've done is I've gone some Tangerine Tango and Whisper White. And I've punched out with a tag label punch, a couple of tags out of the Tangerine Tango. So I'll add some mono adhesive to that, and I'll adhere them to my project. I want them to be able to pull out the cards quite easily, and so the tab really helps do that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our second tab on the opposite side of this. Alright, so this will be our second piece here. So I left this guy a little bit long. Let me just trim him down a little bit. Let's see if that works good for me. Perfect. So now we've got those two pieces. And I am going to add a white matting to these to make it easier for journaling. So we're going to mat over our tab punch. So now we've got an easy journal access. And we're going to do the other one the same. Now I must have left him a little bit long as well. So let me quickly trim him to make it easy and well for me to mat up. Okay, so now we've got a mat here. There we go. So now we've got our two pieces here, ready for matting, or ready for journaling. And now it's time to do our embellished piece. On my embellished piece, I'm using A Flower for All Seasons stamp set. It's a set of 4, as well as the one that's under the $10 section, Note of Thanks. This one's quite neat because it comes with a double mounted stamp, as well as a stamping spot in chocolate chip, and some note cards and envelopes that makes it easy for you to make a quick note. So I'm using the stamp set out of here, as well as the chocolate chip ink. I'm using some Whisper White cardstock to stamp my image. And I did use the pendant die to die cut one of the circle scallops, because it happens to fit perfectly in one of our 1 3/4 circle punch. Now I did save myself some time with the coloring, and so I've already pre-stamped and colored with blender pens using Kiwi Kiss, Tangerine Tango, Going Gray, as well as I'm sorry, those were the 3 colors that I used. And I also use the gold brads as the center of my flowers. Okay, so I'm just going to mount this together with some dimensionals. And as you can see, the 1 3/4 circle punch fits perfectly on top of our scalloped tag that comes in the pendant die. So I totally love the way that looks. Okay, so we're going to add that as an embellishment, as well as we're going to add our little greeting here, a little note of thanks. What I did is when I was mounting my stamp, I did cut the flower off that's mounted together. It's supposed to be the greeting as well as the flower, and I mounted them on the sides for easy stamping. Possibly I just want to use the wording or just the flower or stuff like that, so it becomes more versatile stamp to use. So just a quick tip for that. Alright, so again, I've already stamped my greeting in chocolate chip, a little note of thanks, and I used the large oval punch to punch him out and use him as a greeting. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere him to the bottom of my project. For detailed pictures, once again, you can visit my blog